Hey everyone, in this video we are going to talk about VM flash mode. Before talking about this, we need to understand what is the problem we are facing and why do we need this feature. You already know that Nutanix supports all flash and hybrid model servers. You know, there are certain use cases where we will take hybrid servers, and in some cases we take all flash server. Each one has its own advantages as well as disadvantages. Hybrid server offers low cost, decent performance, but all flash server cost high, and it also gives higher performance. In some cases, customer decides to go for lower cost solution, so then they take hybrid server. But they also have a requirement of good decent performance, and sometimes they also expect a kind of all flash server performance on hybrid server. So considering all this, we will have to understand the uh, working model of hybrid server. Then we will get into that, how we can offer all flash server kind of performance on hybrid server. So before talking about this, consider there is a VM which always writes and reads the data. So generally, the read request is served by the disk, but here we have SSDs and hard disks. So the behavior-wise, there are two SSDs, and between this there is a software, right? And the mirroring is applied. So whatever you write here, everything is replicated to this SSD. So, and there is a partition for cache memory, and we use this SSD for the cache memory. So most frequently data is always sitting in the cache memory, and that's where we say it is hard tier. And this is a cold tier. So if a VM is not accessing the data, then that data sits, it moves to the cold tier. So that we say intelligent tiering. So in intelligent tiering, we say there is a hot tier and cold tier. So hot tier is always SSD and cold tier is always hard disk. And this is node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, and all the nodes are contributing to this. And this movement, it is an inbuilt automatic feature handled by curator service map reduce feature. There is a feature under curator which takes care of this auto tiering. Okay, so now if there is a VM which holds the data at SSD hot tier, and after some time, if the data is not accessed by that VM, then it drained out to the hard disk tier. And maybe one day after a day, if the VM is accessing the same data, then it comes back to the SSD tier. So moving from SSD to hard disk and hard disk to SSD based on the usage of the data. And this is an automatic feature or automatic behavior. Okay. Generally, this is at some cases for a critical VMs, this behavior adds negative impact because it adds an impact because when you say critical VMs, it always needs lowest latency. If this movement is happening, then there is always a wait time, because if the data is in hard disk, it needs to move to SSD. It obviously takes some time, and there is a wait time. So it impact on the performance side for the critical VM. So customer comes with, hey, I have some critical VMs where I need to make sure that that VM needs to sit always on the SSD tier. I don't want to make this intelligent tiering for particular data or particular VM. Do you have that feature? Yes, we have a feature. That's where the VM flash mode comes. So VM flash mode makes sure that a particular VM data always sits in the SSD tier and it never moves to hard disk tier. Okay, so your critical VM gets the all flash kind of performance on the hybrid model with this feature, because in on flash model everything is SSD and your data always sits in the SSD because there is no hard disk. But here there is a mixing of hard disk and SSD, and there is a feature called intelligent tiering which moves data from SSD to hard disk, which also adds adds some impact to the critical VM. So to make sure that my data always sits in the SSD, we need to enable VM flash mode. VM flash mode is kind of VM pinning. So we are pinning this V disk to the SSD. So the V disk always sits in the SSD. How to enable this? We will see in the lab now. There is a cluster running. So this is my Prism setup where I have a VM. Okay, so people might get confused with this VM flash mode because they try to enable this option while creating a VM itself, but generally that option is not available while creating a VM. Okay, so this feature generally available here, but but at this stage, I mean, you don't see this option. So what you have to do is you have to create a VM first, then click the VM, come back to update, come to update. Then if you scroll down if you scroll down, you will be able to see this feature. So you just click and then it just tells you that no down migration from the flash tier. So flash tier is SSD, so there is no down migration to hard disk. Okay, this adds performance to the critical VM workloads. But you have to consider you should not enable this for all the workloads because we have very limited SSD in the hard disk in the hard pair. Okay, so in hybrid server we have only two SSD. So enabling this option for all the VMs does not work, and it is not a real beneficial to your use case. So there are a lot of conditions enabling this. Please read out the document carefully before enabling this option. Okay, thank you.